If you're over 60, chances are you've spent a lifetime doing what had to be done. You showed up. You worked hard. You raised kids. You kept promises. You put others first. And now, things feel different. You've stepped into a new chapter. Some call it retirement. Some call it reinvention. Me, I call it your time. But here's the part no one tells you. This part of life isn't just about doing more. It's about carrying less pressure, less guilt, less clutter in your home and in your heart. Because peace doesn't come from adding more to your plate. It comes from letting go of what no longer serves you. And not because you failed, not because you're giving up, but because you've earned the right to live lighter, freer, and more fully than ever before. In this video, I want to share with you 9 things I've learned we need to let go of after 60 if we want to experience true joy, lasting peace, and the kind of freedom money can't buy. These lessons didn't come from textbooks. They came from real people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who showed me what it means to live with courage, grace, and wisdom. Stick with me till the end, because the last one, it just might change the way you wake up tomorrow morning. Let's begin. Let me start with something that might sound strange. After 60, it may be time to stop saving out of fear. Now, hear me out. For decades, you've been told to save for a rainy day, save for retirement, save in case something goes wrong. And that mindset, it served you well. It was wise. It was necessary. But now things are different. I once sat down with a man named Bill from Eugene, Oregon. Bill had worked in utilities his whole life. Frugal guy, no debt. His house was paid off, his retirement accounts were full, over $1.8 million saved. But every time his wife mentioned taking a trip to Glacier National Park, something they had dreamed about since their 30s, he'd tense up. What if we need that money later? He'd say. What if there's a medical emergency? What if inflation gets worse? So I asked him gently, what if you never get to enjoy it? What if later never comes? That question landed, and maybe it lands for you too, because at a certain point, your savings are no longer about preparing for someday. They're about making today meaningful. Bill eventually booked that trip. They didn't do anything extravagant, just a rented camper, coffee by the lake, a few hikes. But when they got back, he told me, I didn't spend money. I invested in a memory, and I'd do it again. Here's the shift. Saving isn't bad, but saving out of fear, that can become a cage. So ask yourself, have I planned responsibly? Are my basic needs covered? If the answer is yes, then maybe it's time to stop hoarding your peace of mind and start living into it. Buy the gift. Take the trip. Make the memory. Not recklessly, not wastefully, but joyfully. Because you didn't save all those years just to watch a number sit on a screen. You saved to build a life you could enjoy, without guilt, without fear, without delay. So today, stop asking, what if I run out? And start asking, what is worth spending on while I still can? Because later is never promised. But right now is yours. Програма ChatGPT сказала, добре, ось другий розділ про переосмислення витрат. Він м'яко запрошує глядача звернути увагу не лише на цифри, а на відчуття. Це про свободу, внутрішнє так і пам'ятні моменти. 2. Let go of spending that doesn't bring you joy. Now that you've given yourself permission to spend, let's talk about how you spend. Because after 60, the goal isn't to spend more, it's to spend better. Too often we fall into patterns. We buy things out of habit, guilt, pressure, or because it was on sale. We try to keep up with trends. We give gifts out of obligation. We fill our homes, but forget to fill our hearts. Let me tell you about Janice. She's 72, lives just outside Raleigh, North Carolina. When we met, she told me something I'll never forget. I spent thousands over the years on clothes I never wore, kitchen gadgets I didn't need, and things I thought would make me feel something. But then, her face lit up. She told me about one moment, just one, a $500 plane ticket she bought to surprise her younger sister on her 70th birthday. They laughed, they cried, they stayed up all night drinking wine and looking through old photo albums. And when she told me that story, she smiled bigger than she had in our entire conversation. That one weekend, she said, meant more than anything I ever bought on Amazon. That's the difference between spending and spending well. So, here's the question I ask my clients. If I looked at your last 10 purchases, would I see your values or just your habits? Because after 60, your money should reflect your soul. Maybe what matters most to you is flying out to see your grandkids, donating to a cause that shaped your life, a good pair of walking shoes, or fresh flowers on the table every Friday. Whatever it is, spend on that. Let go of the gifts that feel forced, the clutter that adds nothing, the routines that drain you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to enjoy your life. And you certainly don't need to spend money to impress anyone anymore. Because joy doesn't always come with a price tag. Sometimes the richest moments are the quietest ones. Sitting in a park with a book, sending a handwritten letter, laughing over coffee with someone who truly sees you. So before you swipe that card again, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the life I want? Or is it just noise I've been taught to buy? Spend with intention. Spend with heart, because now is not the time to live for anyone else's version of joy. It's time to live for yours. You've spent most of your life working. You earned your living the old-fashioned way, by showing up, putting in the hours, doing what had to be done. And that built your world. You provided, you persevered, you made it. But now, the math has changed, because at this point in your life, time is more valuable than money. Let me ask you something, gently but honestly. Are you still working because you love it? Or because you're afraid to stop? Are you staying busy because it gives you energy and joy? Or because you've never been given permission just to be? I once worked with a man named Carl. He was 66, a former accountant in Vermont. He kept consulting long after retirement, not because he needed the money, but because he didn't know who he'd be without the work. He said, "What am I if I'm not useful?" And I told him something that made him go quiet. Maybe usefulness isn't the point anymore. Maybe now it's about meaning. Carl paused, and then he said, "No one's ever told me that." A few months later, he started volunteering twice a week at the local library. He still did a little consulting on the side, but only when it lit him up. And when he talked about reading to kids during story hour, his whole face softened. That's the power of choosing time over income. Now don't get me wrong, if you still love your work, if it gives you purpose, by all means, keep doing it. But do it by choice, not out of fear. Do it because it makes your life richer, not just your bank account. Because here's the hard truth we don't like to admit. You can always earn more money, but you will never earn more time. Once today is gone, it's gone, and no paycheck can buy it back. So if you're still working, ask yourself, does this give me life, or is it just filling space? What could I do with these hours if they were finally mine again? Maybe you start that garden, take that trip, learn the guitar, or maybe you just rest for the first time in 40 years. And realize that's enough. You've traded time for money long enough. Now, maybe it's time to trade time for meaning. And trust me, you're allowed. Let me ask you something simple. How many times have you said, "I'll do it next year"? When things settle down, when the timing is right. But here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Someday is not on the calendar. And far too many people spend their healthiest years waiting for permission, waiting for certainty, waiting until it's safer, easier, more convenient, or more comfortable. I remember a couple I met in Colorado, Jack and Carol. They'd dreamed for years of driving cross-country in a little Airstream trailer. They talked about it for a decade, had the time, had the savings. But year after year, they said, maybe next summer. Then one winter, Jack had a minor health scare. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to shake them. And suddenly, the idea of waiting one more year didn't feel wise. It felt risky, so they did something wild. They packed up, they hit the road. And 6 months later, when they came back, Carol said, "We should have done this years ago, not because it was perfect, but because it was finally real." That's the power of choosing now. So here's your question. What are you putting off? A road trip, a call to an old friend, a class you always wanted to take, that book you've been meaning to write? Why not? Now. You don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need a sign from the universe, and you definitely don't need anyone's permission. Because here's what I've seen again and again. Work can be an excuse. Planning can be an excuse. Even family can become an excuse. But underneath the waiting, it's often fear. Fear of change, fear of failure, even fear of joy, the kind of joy you forgot how to feel. So I'm asking you, with love, what if you stopped waiting? Because no matter your age, you are still allowed to make memories that feel like magic. The world hasn't run out of wonder. It's just waiting for you to say yes. I want to say this with deep respect and love. After 60, your health is no longer just one part of your life. It is the foundation of your life. You can have a beautiful home, a full savings account, even a dream vacation planned, but if you don't have the energy, strength, or comfort to enjoy any of it, what good is it? I once asked a client in Phoenix, would you rather have 10 million and feel tired, stiff, and in pain every day, or 1 million and feel alive, strong, and free? He didn't hesitate. I'd take the energy every time. But here's the catch. Most of us live like we're chasing the first option. We sit too long. We skip appointments. We brush off that back pain or rising blood pressure, and slowly, almost silently, our freedom shrinks. But here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to feel better. You just need to start. Start where you are. Walk 5 more minutes than you did yesterday. Drink 1 more glass of water. Stretch before bed. Swap the soda for tea. Make 1 nourishing meal this week. Just 1. Because health is not about perfection. It's about momentum. And the goal isn't to run marathons. It's to be able to play with your grandkids. Travel without needing a nap after every step. Wake up with a sense of energy, not heaviness. Take the stairs because you can, not because you must. Your body is not what it once was, and that's okay, but it's still yours, still capable of healing, still worthy of care. So call your doctor, join that senior fitness class. Take a daily walk around your block. Buy the shoes that make walking easier, not trendier. Not because you're chasing youth, but because you're protecting your freedom. Because here's something no one tells you. After 60, your greatest asset is not your house, not your retirement plan, not your car. It's your energy. Guard it, grow it, nurture it. Because life gets brighter when you do. Let's be honest. For most of your life, you've tried to be the good spouse, the reliable parent, the steady worker, the one who kept it all together. And you did it well. But now, in this new chapter, it's time to ask a bold question. Who are you living for? I once worked with a woman named Lynn, Dr. 65, recently retired nurse from Michigan. She always wanted to paint, not for money, not for recognition, just because color made her feel alive. But she kept putting it off. People will think it's silly, she said. What if I'm no good? You know what I told her, so what if they do? She signed up for a beginner's painting class the next week, and a few months later, she showed me her first canvas, a clumsy little landscape with trees that leaned too far left, and she was glowing. Not because it was perfect, but because it was hers. Here's something powerful you may not hear often enough. The older you get, the more freedom you earn to stop caring about the noise around you. You want to wear bold colors? Do it. You want to say no to family gatherings that drain you? You can. You want to take yourself out to dinner, alone, in silence, without explaining? Absolutely. Because this is not about being rude. This is about being real. And when you're real, you don't just feel better. You start belonging to your own life again. There's a book by hospice nurse Bronnie Ware. Maybe you've heard of it. She recorded the top regrets of people near the end of life. Do you know what number one was? I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Let that sink in, because when you live for other people's opinions for too long, you disappear from your own story. So let this be the moment you come back to yourself. Say what you mean. Do what lights you up. Let go of needing approval from people who don't live in your skin. There is only one you, and you have nothing left to prove. Now is not the time to hide. Now is the time to be seen, fully, honestly, beautifully, as yourself. Let me say something that might surprise you. After 60, you don't owe the world your constant attention. You owe yourself your peace. Now, I'm not saying you should bury your head in the sand. It's important to stay informed, to know what's happening, to care. When's the last time you watched 3 hours of cable news and felt better afterward? He just laughed, because we both knew the answer. He had fallen into a routine. Wake up, turn on the news, check the headlines, scroll the updates. And by noon, he felt heavy, anxious, hopeless, until one day his granddaughter said, "Grandpa, you seem more worried than the people on the screen." That was his wake-up call, so he made a change. 1 hour a day, only from sources that valued facts, not fear. No more news after dinner, more time for books, music, puzzles, and people. And you know what happened? His sleep improved, his blood pressure dropped, and he started smiling again, for no reason at all. That's the power of protecting your attention, because attention is energy, and energy, especially now, is sacred. So ask yourself, is this making me wiser, or just more worried? Is this helping me act, or just leaving me helpless? The world will always have hardship, but the way you let it into your home, into your heart, that's your choice. Choose wisely. Choose balance. Choose boundaries. You deserve to stay informed, but you also deserve to laugh, to rest, to sit in stillness and remember that beauty still exists. There's still kindness in strangers, still sunlight through trees, still music that makes you close your eyes and feel. So yes, care. Yes, stay aware, but don't let the world steal your joy. You've earned better than that. Let's talk about money for a moment, but not the way most people do. Because after 60, there are two traps I see again and again. One is avoiding your finances altogether. The other is thinking about them all the time. Let's start with avoidance. You'd be surprised how many people tell me, "I don't even want to look at my accounts. It's too overwhelming. I'll figure it out later." But here's the hard truth. Avoiding your financial plan doesn't make the problem go away. It just makes it grow in the dark. You don't need to be a finance expert, but you do need clarity. What are your fixed monthly costs? How long will your savings last? Do you have a plan if your health changes? Do you feel safe or uncertain? Facing your numbers takes courage, but it gives you back something priceless, peace of mind. Now let's look at the other side, obsession. I once worked with a man named Roger. He had done well, really well, retired from a long career in logistics, multiple properties, strong portfolio, but he couldn't stop checking the markets. Every dip made him anxious. Every vacation felt like a threat to his plan. One day, his wife said quietly, "I don't need more money, Roger. I need more of you." And that's when it hit him. Because financial security means nothing if you never feel secure enough to live. Here's the truth. You didn't save and invest just to stare at numbers. You did it so you could live a life that feels like yours. So yes, talk to your advisor. Make sure you're protected. Check in on your accounts. But once you've done that, let go. Let your money do what it was meant to do. Support you, not control you. Because a great financial plan isn't just about balance sheets. It's about balance in your soul. And when you reach that place where you understand your money and also trust it, that's where real freedom lives. So whether you've been avoiding the numbers or drowning in them, there's a better way, a quieter way, a way that makes room for joy. This one is tender, but it may be the most important of all, because by the time you reach your 60s, you've likely felt it, the quiet ache of loss, the sting of a goodbye you weren't ready for, the sudden reminder that life doesn't go on forever. Maybe you've lost a parent, a sibling, a best friend, a partner, someone who was supposed to be here still, but isn't. And in those moments of grief, you realize something that never quite leaves you. Life is fragile, time is sacred, and none of us know how many days we have left. And yet, we still put things off. We say, I'll get around to it. I'll call them soon. I'll take that trip next year. I'll say what I need to say when the time is right. But what if there's no later? I once asked a client a simple question. If you knew with certainty that this was your last year, what would you do differently? He didn't even blink. I'd call my brother, he said. I'd stop pretending I wasn't still hurt. I'd tell my daughter how proud I am. And I'd go watch the sunrise every morning until I couldn't. Then I asked him, so what's stopping you from doing that now? That question hung in the air, because truthfully, there was nothing stopping him, except the belief that he had more time. And maybe that belief is holding you back too. Let me be clear, this isn't about fear of death. It's about respect for life. It's not about rushing. It's about not waiting. So today, I invite you gently to ask yourself, who do I need to call? What needs to be said? What am I ready to stop tolerating? What small thing have I put off for too long? Because you don't need a diagnosis or a crisis to wake up. You can wake up now. You can forgive now. You can begin again now. You can plant the flowers, take the class, book the ticket, say, I love you, or simply sit outside in the quiet and breathe. Not everything has to change today, but something can, because this moment, this ordinary, beautiful, fleeting moment, is what life is made of. And you, my friend, are still here. You're still breathing. You still have time, maybe not forever, but you have now. And that is enough to begin. So here we are. We've talked about money, health, time, regret, freedom, joy, but at the core of all of this, there's one quiet truth. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is growing up in the best possible way. You're not shedding these things because you failed. You're releasing them because you've earned something better. Peace over pressure, presence over performance, meaning over maintenance. And I want you to hear this, truly hear it. You don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. Not your worth, not your usefulness, not your plans. You've lived, you've endured, you've loved, you've carried more than your share. And now you deserve space. Space to breathe, space to be seen, space to finally show up for your own life. So let's remember what you're letting go of, not out of loss, but out of liberation. Let go of saving out of fear. Let go of spending without joy. Let go of trading your time for money. Let go of waiting for someday. Let go of neglecting your health. Let go of chasing approval. Let go of the noise of negativity. Let go of financial fear and obsession. Let go of the illusion that you have forever. Because what you have truly is right now, and that's more than enough to begin. Before we part, I want to leave you with one last question. What's one thing, just one, you're ready to let go of, starting today? Say it out loud. Write it in a journal. Or, if you feel moved, share it in the comments. Because you never know who you'll inspire by speaking your truth. And if this message meant something to you, if it reminded you of your strength, your softness, your still burning spark, I invite you to pass it on. To someone you love, to someone who needs it, to someone who's still waiting for permission to come alive again. Because aging isn't about slowing down, it's about showing up more fully than ever before. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your heart, your time, your trust, and thank you for reminding the world that it is never too late to live a life filled with purpose, joy, and freedom. We'll see you in the next one.